The Mr. Bear Show! Mr. Greedy by Roger Hargreaves. Mr. Greedy liked to eat. In fact, Mr. Greedy loved to eat, and the more he ate, the fatter he became. And the trouble was, the fatter he became, the more hungry he became. And the more hungry he became, the more he ate. And the more he ate, the fatter he became. And so it went on. Mr. Greedy lived in a house that looked rather like himself. It was a roly-poly sort of house. One morning, Mr. Greedy awoke rather earlier than usual. He had been dreaming about food, as usual. That had made him wake up feeling hungry, as usual. So Mr. Greedy got up, went downstairs, and ate the most enormous breakfast. This is what Mr. Greedy had for his breakfast. Toast 2 slices, cornflakes 1 packet, milk 1 bottle, sugar 1 bowlful, toast 3 slices, eggs 3 boiled, toast 4 slices, butter 1 dish, marmalade 1 pot. When he had finished his enormous breakfast, Mr. Greedy sat back in his chair, smiled a very satisfied smile, and thought, "Wow, that was a delicious breakfast," he thought to himself. "Now, I wonder what it would be nice to have for lunch." He decided in order to work up an appetite for lunch, he would go for a long walk. That morning, Mr. Greedy walked and walked and walked. Then he discovered a cave. "That's funny," he thought. "I don't remember seeing that there before." Mr. Greedy, being a curious sort of fellow, decided to explore. He entered a dark cave. Inside, he discovered some giant steps leading upwards. Mr. Greedy, being a curious sort of a fellow, decided to climb them. They were steep and very difficult to climb, but with much huffing and puffing, Mr. Greedy climbed up and up. At the top of the steps, Mr. Greedy came to a door. It was, without doubt, the biggest door that Mr. Greedy had ever seen, and it was quite shut. Mr. Greedy, being a curious sort of fellow, decided to see what was the other side of that door. So Mr. Greedy squeezed himself through the crack in the door, and there before him was an amazing sight, the biggest room in the world. The floor was as big as a field. The table in the middle of the floor was as big as a house, and the chair around it were as high as trees. Mr. Greedy felt very small. Then he sniffed. Coming from somewhere up on top of that gigantic table was the most delicious foody smell that Mr. Greedy had ever smelled. I wonder what that smell. Mr. Greedy sniffed again, and then he decided that he must get up to that table. So he began to climb up the leg of the enormous chair. It was very difficult, and it took him a long time, but eventually Mr. Greedy stood on the table. Everything was larger than life. The salt and pepper pots were as big as a pillar boxes. There was a bowl of fruit on the table, and Mr. Greedy tried to lift one of the oranges. That's so heavy. And Mr. Greedy, took a bite out of one of the apples there. Then he looked around. Over on the other side of the table stood the source of that delicious smell, a huge, enormous, gigantic, colossal plate. And on the plate, huge, enormous, gigantic, colossal sausages the size of pillows, and huge, enormous, gigantic, colossal potatoes the size of beach balls, and a huge, enormous, gigantic, colossal peas the size of cabbages. Mr. Greedy hurried across the table towards the plate, and being Mr. Greedy began to eat. Suddenly, a shadow fell across the plate, and Mr. Greedy found himself being picked up by a giant hand and looking into the eyes of a real-life giant. "And who," thundered the giant, "are you?" Mr. Greedy was so frightened that he could only just manage to squeak his name. "Mr. Greedy," he squeaked. The giant laughed. The giant laughed a laugh as loud as thunder. "Ha ha 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 ha! Greedy by name and greedy by nature!" he bellowed. "Well, I think, Mr. Greedy, that you need to be taught a lesson." And what a lesson that it was. The giant made Mr. Greedy eat up everything on that huge, enormous, gigantic, colossal plate. When he had finished, Mr. Greedy felt very ill indeed, as if he would burst at any minute. "No!" said the giant in a much quieter voice. "Do you promise never to be greedy again?" "Oh, yes," murmured Mr. Greedy. "I promise." "Very well," said the giant. "Then I'll let you go." Mr. Greedy climbed from the table and went out through the door feeling very fat and extremely miserable. And from that day to this, Mr. Greedy has kept his promise. And something else as well. Mr. Greedy doesn't look as he used to look anymore. He now looks like this, which I think suits him a lot better, don't you? So if you know anybody who's as greedy as Mr. Greedy used to be, you know what to tell them, don't you? Beware of giants. Oh, ha, 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 ha. Do 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 do. 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 Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.